Ladies and gentlemen, as we gather here today, we commence our journey into the life of Helen Keller, an extraordinary figure whose story transcends the barriers of sight and sound to touch the essence of human resilience and determination. Helen Keller's life is a testament to the indomitable will of the human spirit, an emblem of overcoming insurmountable odds that continues to inspire generations worldwide. In today's lecture, we will explore the multifaceted dimensions of Helen Keller's life, from her early years shrouded in silence and darkness to her emergence as a towering figure in social activism, literature, and public speaking. Helen was not just a person who learned to adapt to her conditions. She transformed them into a platform to advocate for change, touching on issues such as disability rights, women's suffrage, and social justice. Our focus will extend beyond the historical timeline of her life. We aim to understand the profound impact of her achievements and the lessons they carry for us today. How did a woman, who by the age of 2 was left blind and deaf, manage to author 12 books, travel across continents advocating for change, and inspire countless others? What can we learn from her about courage, perseverance, and the power of communication? Throughout this exploration, we will also uncover the philosophical underpinnings that shaped her views and writings. Helen Keller was a thinker, a prolific writer, and a passionate advocate. Her quotes and writings continue to be studied for their deep insights into human nature and society. As we proceed, I encourage you all to think about the challenges you face in your own lives. Consider how Helen Keller's approach to her challenges might offer wisdom and motivation in facing our own. By the end of this lecture, I hope you will not only have a deeper understanding of Helen Keller's life but also an appreciation of how her legacy continues to influence and inspire action in our world today. Let us embark on this intellectual and emotional exploration of a life that was truly lived in defiance of the limitations and in celebration of human potential. Ladies and gentlemen, as we delve into the early chapters of Helen Keller's life, we uncover the roots of her remarkable journey. Born on June 27, 1880, in Tuscumbia, Alabama, Helen Keller was a child of promise whose life took a dramatic turn that would shape her destiny and the world's perception of disability. At the tender age of 19 months, Helen was struck by an illness, described by doctors as an acute congestion of the stomach and the brain, which today might be thought akin to scarlet fever or meningitis. This illness did not take her life but stole her sight and hearing, plunging the young child into a world of silence and darkness. This profound sensory isolation created initial barriers that seemed insurmountable. In the absence of language and traditional means of communication, young Helen became increasingly frustrated, leading to frequent tantrums as she struggled to express herself and connect with those around her. The world to her was an enigma, and her inability to communicate only deepened her isolation. However, Helen's story is not merely one of isolation but of the extraordinary human capacity for connection. Her early life set the stage for her later triumphs, highlighting the critical role of innovative communication in overcoming barriers. The introduction of Anne Sullivan, a recent graduate from the Perkins Institute for the Blind, into Helen's life marked the beginning of a transformative relationship. Anne brought with her the manual alphabet, a method of spelling words into Helen's hand, and an unyielding determination to break through the silent barrier that surrounded her student. It was at a water pump in 1887 that Helen's breakthrough moment occurred, a moment that symbolizes the unlocking of the wider world to people with disabilities. As water flowed over one hand, and spelled WATR into the other, bridging the abstract concept with the tangible reality. This epiphany, that every object had a name, and each name could be communicated through language, opened up Helen's world and set her on a path towards higher education, prolific writing, and global advocacy. This early period of Helen's life is crucial for understanding the foundation of her resilience and tenacity. It reminds us that the human spirit, when nurtured with patience and innovative methods, can overcome extraordinary challenges. Helen's early years also highlight the importance of empathy and creative teaching in unlocking the potential within each individual, setting the stage for the remarkable achievements that were yet to come. Ladies and gentlemen, as we continue our exploration into Helen Keller's life, we arrive at a pivotal chapter, one that would forever alter the trajectory of her journey. This is the moment when Helen Keller met Anne Sullivan, a relationship that stands as one of the most iconic partnerships in history, epitomizing the transformative power of dedicated mentorship and perseverance. Anne Sullivan arrived at the Keller household in March 1887, dispatched from the Perkins Institute for the Blind, where she herself had overcome severe visual impairments. Anne, just 20 years old at the time, brought with her a relentless optimism and a pioneering approach to education for the visually impaired. From the outset, Anne and Helen faced significant challenges. Helen's isolation had made her wild and unruly, unable to communicate and frustrated by her inability to connect with the world around her. But Anne was undeterred. She believed fiercely in the potential within Helen, and she was determined to reach the bright mind waiting behind the barriers of disability. The breakthrough between Helen and Anne is a story of legendary perseverance and illustrates the magic of the right key unlocking the boundless potential within a mind eager to learn. It occurred at a well house on the Keller estate, an ordinary location that would become the scene of an extraordinary revelation. Anne placed one of Helen's hands under the stream of water, flowing cool and clear, while into the other hand, she spelled WATR. This action, simple yet profound, ignited a spark within Helen. Helen later described this moment as her soul's sudden awakening. With the realization that the motions and made on her palm symbolized the water she felt, Helen's world transformed from silent and isolated to brimming with possibilities. She quickly demanded to know the names of all the other familiar objects in her world, as Anne continued to spell into her eager hand. This moment of realization was more than a communication breakthrough. It was the beginning of a lifelong journey of education and advocacy. Anne Sullivan's innovative teaching methods, including the use of tactile sign language and later, Braille, allowed Helen to access the world in ways previously deemed impossible for someone trapped in silence and darkness. Anne Sullivan's commitment to Helen's development was unwavering, and their bond grew into one of deep mutual respect and affection. Anne was not just a teacher, she was Helen's window to the world, her companion, and later, her closest confidant. Together, they traveled the world, giving speeches and advocating for the rights and education of those with disabilities. In this story, we see the power of education and the impact of one person's belief in another's potential. Anne Sullivan and Helen Keller's relationship teaches us that with the right support and relentless determination, barriers can be transformed into gateways, leading to a life of rich contribution and profound influence. This chapter in Helen's life is not just about overcoming disability but about harnessing the power of human connection to unlock inner greatness. Ladies and gentlemen, as we continue to navigate the extraordinary life of Helen Keller, we now turn our focus to her educational journey, a testament to her indomitable spirit and the profound belief that education is a liberating force for all individuals, regardless of their challenges. Following her breakthrough in communication with Anne Sullivan, Helen embarked on a path that many thought impossible for someone facing her unique challenges. She began her formal education at the Perkins Institute for the Blind in Boston in 1888, a place that not only offered her the tools to learn but also an environment where she was not defined by her disabilities. At Perkins, Helen quickly proved to be a voracious learner, absorbing knowledge and mastering the Braille system, as well as learning to use the typewriter, which became crucial for her writing and education. Helen's thirst for knowledge was insatiable. Her next educational frontier was the Wright Humason School for the Deaf in New York City, where she worked to improve her communication skills further, particularly in speech. Helen was determined to speak audibly so that others could hear her thoughts directly, despite the immense difficulties she faced in learning to vocalize words she could not hear. In 1896, Helen attended the Cambridge School for Young Ladies, a preparatory school that would ready her for her most ambitious academic endeavor, attending college. Her admission to Radcliffe College in 1900 marked another historic milestone. She was the first deaf-blind person to attend a higher education institution. At Radcliffe, Helen faced numerous challenges, from accessibility to communication barriers, yet she navigated these with her usual resolve and the indispensable support of Anne Sullivan, who tirelessly spelled each lecture into her hand. In 1904, Helen graduated from Radcliffe, magna cum laude, an achievement that spoke volumes about her intelligence, determination, and the possibilities for people with disabilities. Her time in college not only provided her with an academic foundation but also solidified her role as an advocate for those with disabilities, influencing her future writings and public engagements. Helen Keller's educational journey is a cornerstone of her legacy. It highlights the importance of accessibility in education and the potential for institutions to adapt to the needs of all students. Her academic achievements shattered prevailing misconceptions about the capabilities of individuals with disabilities and set a precedent for future educational reforms. In this chapter of Helen's life, we learn the power of perseverance and the impact of education on personal growth and societal change. Helen's journey through these institutions wasn't just about personal achievement. It was a statement to the world about the untapped potential in all of us, no matter the physical limitations we may face. Through her education, Helen Keller transformed from a student into a teacher herself, one whose lessons continue to inspire and educate far beyond the walls of any classroom. Ladies and gentlemen, as we continue our exploration of Helen Keller's inspiring life, we now turn our attention to her profound impact on the literary world. Helen Keller was not only a trailblazer in education and advocacy but also an accomplished author whose works continue to resonate with readers around the globe. Helen's literary journey began early in her life, stemming from her voracious appetite for reading and learning. With the assistance of Anne Sullivan, who facilitated her access to books in Braille, Helen developed a deep love for literature, which eventually blossomed into her own creative expression. Helen's first and perhaps most famous work, The Story of My Life, published in 1903, is an autobiography detailing her life from childhood up until her time at Radcliffe College. This work not only shares her personal experiences and challenges but also illuminates her inner world, showcasing her eloquence, depth of reflection, and intellectual capacity. This book has been translated into over 50 languages and remains a key resource in understanding the capabilities and perspectives of those with disabilities. Following this, Helen authored several other books and essays, including Optimism, 1903, The World I Live In, 1908, and Out of the Dark, 1913, collections of essays that explore her philosophies on life, religion, and the human condition. These writings delve deeper into her personal philosophy and her views on overcoming adversity, empowering others through her insights and personal revelations. The themes in Helen Keller's writings often revolve around facing life's challenges with courage and hope. She frequently discussed the importance of willpower, the role of education in achieving independence, and the interconnectedness of all human beings, regardless of physical limitations. Her works are imbued with a deep sense of empathy and an unyielding commitment to advocating for those who are marginalized. Critically, Helen's writings were well received, noted for their lyrical quality and profound insights. Readers and critics alike marveled at her ability to convey such vivid imagery and deep philosophical thoughts through her writing, despite, or perhaps because of, her unique experience of the world. Helen Keller's literary contributions have significantly impacted not just the fields of literature and education but also the broader dialogue on disability and human rights. Her writings continue to serve as a source of inspiration and a point of reference in discussions about accessibility, rights, and the potential inherent in all individuals to contribute meaningfully to society. In conclusion, Helen Keller's achievements in literature offer us a window into the soul of a woman who, despite being cut off from the conventional senses of seeing and hearing, provided one of the clearest visions of courage, humanity, and hope. Her legacy in literature is a testament to the power of words to transcend physical limitations and change the world for the better. Through her writings, Helen Keller continues to speak, and we continue to listen, learn, and be inspired. Ladies and gentlemen, as we further explore the extensive impact of Helen Keller, we now turn to her profound role in advocacy and activism. Beyond her literary and educational achievements, Helen Keller dedicated much of her life to championing the rights of those with disabilities, as well as supporting other social causes including women's suffrage and labor rights. Her activism was not just a part of her life, it defined a significant portion of her legacy. Helen's activism took a structured path when she joined the American Foundation for the Blind, AFB, in 1924. This role provided her with a platform to fight for the rights of visually impaired individuals across the United States and globally. She worked tirelessly to improve the welfare of the blind and visually impaired, advocating for better education, employment opportunities, and the removal of societal barriers that limited their full participation in society. Through her work with the AFB, Helen became a key figure in influencing legislation and public policies that benefit the visually impaired. Her efforts were instrumental in the establishment of services such as books created in Braille and talking books, which were revolutionary at the time. Helen Keller was also an ardent supporter of women's rights. She was involved in the women's suffrage movement, using her stature to argue passionately for women's right to vote. Her advocacy was not limited to the United States. She spoke on women's rights issues on her travels across the world, linking the struggle for universal suffrage with the broader fight for social justice. Additionally, Helen was a staunch advocate for workers' rights and was affiliated with socialist movements, believing that economic independence was crucial for all, including those with disabilities. Her alignment with such causes often drew criticism and made her a controversial figure, but she remained steadfast in her beliefs, arguing for social and economic equality. One of Helen Keller's enduring contributions was her influence on the public's perception of people with disabilities. She changed the narrative from one of pitying limitation to one of empowerment and capability. Her public appearances, speeches, and writings helped to reshape how society viewed people with disabilities, advocating for a shift from institutional care to integration and independence. Her advocacy work also led to legislative changes that improved the lives of millions. Helen was instrumental in lobbying for the passage of laws that provided federal funding for the education of the blind, and her efforts contributed to the broader disability rights movements that culminated in significant legislation like the Americans with Disabilities Act many decades later. Helen Keller's work in advocacy and activism demonstrates her profound commitment to justice and equality, not only for those with disabilities but for all marginalized communities. She utilized her voice and her story to fight for a world where everyone, regardless of their physical capabilities or social standing, could participate fully and freely. Helen Keller remains a towering figure in social activism, her life a beacon that continues to guide efforts toward inclusivity and fairness in society. Through her tireless work, she laid the groundwork for future generations to continue the fight for rights and recognition across multiple facets of social injustice. Ladies and gentlemen, as we delve into another significant aspect of Helen Keller's extraordinary legacy, let us explore her profound impact through public speaking and her wide-reaching influence both nationally and internationally. Helen Keller was not only a prolific writer and staunch activist but also an eloquent speaker whose words inspired countless individuals across the globe. Helen Keller's public speaking career began in earnest after her education at Radcliffe College, as she sought to use her voice to effect change for those with disabilities and other marginalized groups. Her speeches often dealt with her personal experiences of overcoming challenges but also broadly addressed themes of social justice, education for the disabled, and the need for societal reform. One of her most impactful speeches was delivered at Carnegie Hall in 1913, during a fundraising drive for the American Foundation for the Blind. There, she spoke eloquently about the needs and rights of the blind, captivating her audience with her vision for a more inclusive world. This event not only raised significant funds but also increased public awareness and support for the cause of disability rights. Throughout her life, Helen Keller collaborated with many notable figures of her time, including Mark Twain, who was an admirer and a staunch supporter. Twain helped Keller to gain influential patrons like Henry H. Rogers, a wealthy oil magnate, who provided her with financial assistance for her education. Her associations with prominent individuals helped to amplify her messages and brought significant attention to the causes she championed. Helen also met with several U.S. presidents, from Grover Cleveland to Lyndon B. Johnson, advocating for disability rights and other social issues. Internationally, she met with world leaders such as Winston Churchill, influencing global perspectives on disability and rehabilitation. Helen Keller's influence extended far beyond the borders of the United States. She embarked on several world tours, visiting over 35 countries on 5 continents. During these tours, she met with political leaders, educators, and citizens, spreading her advocacy for disability rights and education. Her international trips were not only fundraising missions but also opportunities to engage with and learn from the global community. These travels further cemented her status as a global ambassador for change. In countries like Japan, Helen became a national figure of admiration and inspired the establishment of schools for the blind and deaf. Her visits had lasting impacts, leading to improved policies and practices concerning disability rights worldwide. Helen Keller's career as a public speaker is a testament to the power of voice and the impact of personal testimony in advocacy. Through her speeches and public engagements, she not only raised awareness about the capabilities of people with disabilities but also inspired action towards greater accessibility and equality. Her eloquence, determination, and compassionate outlook made her a beloved figure whose influence transcended national boundaries and cultural differences. In sum, Helen Keller utilized the platform of public speaking not just to communicate her personal challenges and triumphs but to advocate for a broader vision of humanity, one that embraced all individuals as valuable contributors to society, regardless of their physical limitations. Ladies and gentlemen, as we explore further into the life of Helen Keller, we come to a vital aspect of her identity, her personal philosophy. Helen's beliefs and values shaped not only her actions but also provided a foundation for her writings, speeches, and advocacy. Her philosophy was deeply influenced by a variety of intellectual and spiritual ideas, blending elements of optimism, transcendentalism, and socialism. Helen Keller was introduced to transcendentalism during her time at Radcliffe College, where she became an ardent reader of authors like Henry David Thoreau and Ralph Waldo Emerson. Transcendentalism's emphasis on individual intuition and the inherent goodness of people resonated with Helen, shaping her belief in the potential of every individual to overcome challenges and contribute meaningfully to society. Simultaneously, Helen's social and political views were significantly influenced by her study of socialism. She became a vocal supporter of socialist ideas, believing that the system proposed fairer treatment for the working class and those marginalized in society, including people with disabilities. Her advocacy for socialism was intertwined with her efforts to promote equality and justice for all, as she viewed it as a means to address the root causes of oppression and inequality. Helen's spiritual journey was as dynamic as her intellectual pursuits. Though she was raised in a Christian environment, her spirituality evolved to encompass a broad, inclusive perspective that appreciated the truths in all religions. Helen believed in a universal divine spirit and often spoke of the interconnectedness of all life, which was reflected in her writings and public engagements. Her spiritual views also emphasized the importance of inner strength and the power of the human spirit to transcend physical limitations and societal barriers. This perspective was crucial in forming her optimistic outlook on life, despite the personal challenges she faced. One of Helen Keller's most famous quotes encapsulates her philosophy beautifully: "The best and most beautiful things in the world cannot be seen or even touched, they must be felt with the heart." This quote reflects her belief that true beauty and understanding transcend the physical and are rooted in emotional and spiritual experiences. Another significant quote by Helen, "Alone we can do so little, together we can do so much," highlights her belief in collaboration and collective effort. This idea was central to her activism and her work with various organizations, emphasizing that change is most impactful when communities work together toward common goals. Helen Keller's personal philosophy offers profound insights into how she viewed the world and her place in it. Her beliefs in transcendentalism and socialism guided her activism and her approach to challenges, while her spiritual outlook provided her with the resilience and optimism that defined her public persona. Through her philosophy, Helen Keller continues to inspire us to look beyond our limitations, seek deeper connections, and strive for a world where justice and equality prevail for everyone. Her legacy in philosophy is not just in her achievements but in the enduring wisdom she shared, which continues to motivate and uplift generations around the world. Ladies and gentlemen, as we delve further into the life of Helen Keller, let us explore the personal aspects that shaped her as a person. Helen's relationships with those around her played a pivotal role in her development and achievements. These connections not only provided her with emotional and practical support but also influenced her views and approaches to her activism and public engagements. The most significant relationship in Helen Keller's life was undoubtedly with Anne Sullivan, her teacher, mentor, and lifelong companion. Anne's arrival when Helen was just 6 years old marked the beginning of a profound partnership that would last for 49 years, until Anne's death in 1936. This relationship evolved from teacher-student to an enduring friendship that was foundational to Helen's personal and professional life. Anne taught Helen not only how to communicate with the world but also how to engage with it intellectually and emotionally. Their daily interactions, challenges, and triumphs together were instrumental in shaping Helen's character and worldview. Anne's unwavering dedication and innovative teaching methods enabled Helen to break through the barriers imposed by her disabilities. After Anne's health began to decline, Polly Thompson joined their household in 1914. Initially hired as a secretary, Polly soon became another vital companion to Helen, particularly after Anne's death. Polly helped manage Helen's correspondence, engagements, and continued her travels and advocacy work. This partnership also blossomed into a deep friendship that lasted until Polly's death in 1960. Despite her public successes, Helen faced numerous personal challenges. She battled not only with the physical limitations of her disabilities but also with the societal expectations and restrictions placed on women and disabled individuals during her time. Helen's ability to navigate these obstacles reveals a resilient and determined individual who refused to be defined by her conditions. Helen's life was also marked by periods of intense loneliness and the search for intellectual and emotional connections that could transcend her physical limitations. Her wide array of friends from various walks of life, including writers, activists, and intellectuals, provided her with the intellectual stimulation and emotional support she sought. Helen Keller's personal life underscores the importance of community and support systems for individuals facing disabilities. Her achievements can be attributed not only to her personal qualities but also to the strong network of friends and allies who believed in her potential. This aspect of her life highlights the significance of solidarity and support in overcoming personal and societal challenges. In examining the personal relationships and life of Helen Keller, we gain a richer understanding of the woman behind the public figure. Her life was deeply interwoven with those who supported and loved her, illustrating the profound impact of meaningful relationships on personal growth and societal contribution. Helen Keller's personal story is a poignant reminder of the human need for connection, support, and mutual respect, which are essential for overcoming challenges and achieving one's potential. Through her life, we learn not just about the struggles and triumphs of a remarkable individual but also about the enduring power of human connection and empathy. Ladies and gentlemen, as we continue our exploration into the extraordinary life of Helen Keller, we now turn our attention to her later years and the enduring legacy she left behind. This chapter of her life is a testament to her lifelong dedication to advocacy, her resilience in the face of aging and health challenges, and the profound impact she had on future generations. Even in her later years, Helen Keller continued to be an active advocate and public figure. Her advocacy did not wane with age, rather, she remained committed to promoting the rights and well-being of people with disabilities across the globe. She continued her work with the American Foundation for the Blind and other organizations, tirelessly working to improve the lives of the visually impaired. Helen also remained a sought-after speaker and continued to travel internationally, advocating for disability rights and social justice. Her message consistently emphasized the potential within each person to overcome challenges and contribute positively to society. Helen Keller passed away on June 1, 1968, at the age of 87, in her home in Easton, Connecticut. Her passing was mourned worldwide, with tributes pouring in from across the globe. Helen left behind a world significantly changed for the better because of her efforts and her inspiring life story. Following her death, numerous schools, buildings, and awards have been named in her honor, ensuring that her legacy continues to inspire and impact lives. The Helen Keller Archives, which contain a vast collection of her writings, speeches, and correspondence, serve as a valuable resource for researchers and advocates. Helen Keller's influence extends far beyond the achievements of her lifetime. She laid the groundwork for much of the modern disability rights movement, influencing legislation and attitudes towards people with disabilities. Her life and work have inspired countless individuals to strive for greater accessibility and equality, not only for those with disabilities but for all marginalized communities. Her story continues to be taught in schools around the world, not only as an example of overcoming personal adversity but also as a powerful narrative about the impact one person can have on the world. Films, books, and plays about her life continue to inspire new generations. In her later years, Helen Keller cemented her legacy as a pioneer and a symbol of courage. Her life is a profound reminder of the indomitable human spirit's capacity to effect change and push boundaries. Helen taught us that limitations, whether physical or societal, can be transcended with perseverance, support, and a deep belief in the value of every individual. Her legacy endures in the countless lives touched by her story and the ongoing work towards a more inclusive and compassionate world. Through her life, Helen Keller continues to teach us about the beauty of achieving the impossible and the importance of living a life dedicated to service and advocacy. Ladies and gentlemen, as we delve into the portrayal of Helen Keller in popular culture, we explore how her story has been communicated and celebrated in various forms of media over the years. Helen Keller's life has inspired a multitude of creative expressions, from film and theater to literature, each contributing to the public's understanding of her legacy. One of the most significant portrayals of Helen Keller's life is the award-winning play and film, The Miracle Worker. This drama vividly captures the pivotal early years of Helen's life, particularly her relationship with Anne Sullivan and the breakthrough moments in her education. The play, written by William Gibson, first premiered on Broadway in 1959 and was later adapted into a film in 1962. Both the play and the film have been crucial in shaping the public's perception of Helen Keller's challenges and triumphs. The powerful performances of the actors, particularly during the intense and emotional scenes of Helen's breakthroughs in communication, have left lasting impressions on audiences. The Miracle Worker emphasizes Helen's determination and the transformative impact of dedicated teaching, embodying the struggle and eventual triumph over seemingly insurmountable obstacles. This portrayal has not only educated the public about the specifics of Helen's early challenges but also highlighted her perseverance and the profound influence of her teacher, Anne Sullivan. Helen Keller's own writings, notably The Story of My Life, have been used in educational settings around the world to teach about resilience and overcoming adversity. Her autobiography has been adapted into various formats, including children's books and educational materials, making her story accessible to younger audiences who can learn from her perseverance and vision. Additionally, various biographies and scholarly articles have explored deeper themes in Helen's life, contributing to an academic and philosophical understanding of her achievements and personal philosophy. While Helen Keller's story is widely known, certain aspects of her life and activism are often overshadowed by the focus on her disabilities. Popular culture sometimes simplifies her story, emphasizing her early years without fully acknowledging her contributions as a prolific writer, speaker, and activist in her later life. This selective representation can lead to misconceptions about the breadth of her impact and the depth of her thoughts. Furthermore, her socialist beliefs and her advocacy for labor rights and women's suffrage are less frequently depicted, which skews public perception of her legacy. It is important for new interpretations and discussions in popular culture to address these aspects of her life, ensuring a more holistic view of her contributions. Helen Keller's representation in popular culture plays a vital role in how society remembers her and draws lessons from her life. While films, plays, and books have successfully captured parts of her story, continuing to explore and discuss her complete life story and beliefs in various cultural contexts will enhance our understanding of her as a multifaceted individual. This ongoing conversation in popular culture not only commemorates her life but also inspires new generations to advocate for social justice and equality, just as Helen did throughout her remarkable life. Ladies and gentlemen, as we reflect on the life and legacy of Helen Keller, it's essential to consider her contemporary relevance and the lessons her story holds for today's world. In an era marked by rapid social change and increased awareness of diversity and inclusion, Helen Keller's life remains a powerful beacon of advocacy, resilience, and hope. Helen Keller's experiences and accomplishments speak directly to current issues surrounding disability rights, education, and social justice. Her advocacy for accessible education and the rights of people with disabilities continues to resonate in today's movements towards more inclusive societies. Helen's life underscores the importance of providing equal opportunities and supports the argument for universal design in education and public services to accommodate diverse needs. Moreover, her work demonstrates the value of perseverance and self-advocacy. In our contemporary society, where voices of marginalized communities are increasingly amplified, Helen's story encourages individuals to speak up and fight for their rights and for the rights of others. Her example inspires ongoing efforts to ensure that everyone, regardless of their physical capabilities, has the opportunity to contribute meaningfully to society. Helen Keller's impact can be seen in the legislative and cultural shifts that have occurred over the decades in how societies treat individuals with disabilities. Her early advocacy laid some of the groundwork for significant legislative acts, such as the Americans with Disabilities Act, ADA, which has transformed lives by improving accessibility and combating discrimination. Her life also continues to inform modern disability studies, challenging perceptions about the abilities of disabled individuals and promoting a more nuanced understanding of the intersectionality of disability with other social and economic issues. Advocates today draw on her legacy to push for more comprehensive policies that address the varied needs of disabled individuals. Internationally, Helen Keller is a symbol of what can be achieved with the right support and opportunities. Her story has global appeal and serves as a model for international disability rights movements, encouraging countries to adopt more inclusive and supportive policies. Her global tours during her lifetime helped to establish connections and inspire changes far beyond American borders, demonstrating the universal challenges and triumphs in the disability community. This global perspective is crucial today as international organizations work to implement more inclusive development goals. In sum, Helen Keller's contemporary relevance is profound and enduring. Her life continues to motivate educators, policymakers, activists, and individuals around the world to strive for a more inclusive and equitable society. By studying her life and legacy, we are reminded of the power of resilience, the importance of advocacy, and the impact that one individual's voice can have in changing the world. As we face current and future challenges, Helen Keller's life remains a guiding light and a source of inspiration to forge paths towards greater inclusion and understanding. Ladies and gentlemen, as we draw our exploration of Helen Keller's extraordinary life to a close, let us take a moment to reflect on the profound journey we've embarked upon today. Helen Keller's life was one of immense challenges, yet she emerged as a beacon of hope, resilience, and relentless advocacy. Her story offers timeless lessons that continue to inspire and guide us. Helen Keller's early life was marked by significant barriers, but with the guidance of Anne Sullivan, she overcame these to connect with the world in ways previously unimaginable. Her breakthroughs in communication are a testament to human potential and the power of dedicated mentorship. Helen's academic achievements and literary works demonstrate the importance of access to education and self-expression. Her writings, from autobiographies to essays on social issues, continue to enlighten and provoke thought on a wide array of subjects. Helen used her platform to advocate tirelessly for the rights of individuals with disabilities, for women, and for workers, making her a pioneering figure in several social justice movements. Her speeches and public engagements not only raised awareness but also drove significant social change. The legacy of Helen Keller is multifaceted, extending into educational reforms, cultural perceptions of disability, and ongoing advocacy for human rights. Her life's work laid foundational stones for many of the freedoms and rights that individuals with disabilities enjoy today. Helen Keller's life story is not merely a narrative about overcoming personal limitations. It is a powerful reminder of what can be achieved when society embraces inclusivity and supports each individual's potential. Her enduring wisdom encourages us to view obstacles as opportunities to innovate and to see every individual as capable of contributing meaningfully to our world. As we leave here today, I encourage each of you to carry with you the spirit of Helen Keller, a spirit of unyielding perseverance and unwavering commitment to improving the world for others. Consider how you can apply her lessons of courage and advocacy in your own lives and communities. In conclusion, Helen Keller's story is a call to action for all of us, to strive for a society where no one is limited by their physical conditions, and where everyone can share their unique voice and talents. Let us move forward with the resolve to make our own contributions to creating such a world, inspired by Helen Keller's extraordinary life and enduring legacy. Let us go forth with renewed inspiration and determination to make a difference, just as Helen Keller did. Ladies and gentlemen, as we conclude our journey through the extraordinary life of Helen Keller, I want to leave you with a thought that can serve as a guiding principle in your own lives. Helen Keller once said, "Life is either a daring adventure or nothing at all." This powerful statement encapsulates her approach to life despite the immense challenges she faced. Helen saw life as a series of opportunities for growth, learning, and advocacy. She did not allow her physical limitations to confine her spirit or ambitions. Instead, She embraced life as an adventure, a platform for transformation and impact. Let this philosophy inspire you as well. Life's challenges, whether big or small, are opportunities for us to grow stronger, to innovate, and to make a meaningful impact. Approach each day with the courage to try something new, the resilience to persevere, and the optimism to see beyond current obstacles. Like Helen Keller, view your life as a grand adventure, an opportunity to contribute something unique to the world around you. Remember, it is not the circumstances of our lives that define us, but how we respond to them. Let us respond with bravery, with action, and with a heart full of hope. May you leave here today not just inspired by Helen Keller's life, but also committed to making your own life a daring and fulfilling adventure. Thank you for being an attentive and engaging audience. Go forth with the courage to turn every challenge into an opportunity and make your mark on the world in your own distinct way.